Okay, so now we're gonna do the rendering of this piece. First of all, I'm gonna manage some layers, and I realized that this pieces here, this group basically, piece 6, it should be like, of course, J as in James, and taken down 180 degrees. Doesn't really matter, it just gives more funny shape here. I'm gonna group these guys. I know there are these ones, and call them main 1. And then I think it's not that one, not that one, not that one, but this other 4 to group them as well. Control G and say main 2. So you see it's very easy to manage the objects here in the outliner and access to them afterwards as you wish. So okay, let's go to the rendering. First of all, we're gonna go settings, and as always we go mentor. We're gonna do Maya software in the future, but we're gonna do mentor basically in the whole semester. So if we press that, this guy's changed, and while I'm pressing indirect lighting here, it takes a while. Explain what we're gonna do. Create a dome. We're gonna put an image to that dome that we want, not a HDRI. Let's do it. Create here an image-based lighting, and it creates this sphere, which is a dome kind of thing, surrounding your model. Some people have complained that they don't see it. That probably is because if you go Control A and you go to the channel box, the scale X, Y, and Z of the dome, while selected, it's probably like 3000 or whatever. So take it down to 300 or so, the 3 factors, and hopefully it shows there. If not, don't worry, you can still apply all the things that we're saying, and it should render correctly, because it doesn't matter how big the dome is. It matters that the concept of the dome is there, and it follows the logic. Okay, so after creating this, we need to set the quality here in presets to production. It changes most of the things, but another one we want to change in direct lighting is pretty much final gathering preset. If we go to comment, you guys should pretty much set the preset here to HD 720, which is better. But I'm going to leave it there because my computer, once again, cannot handle too many things. So it's not many things that we have changed, but that we can close that. Another thing we want to do, of course, is open the window of rendering Hypershade. You guys also may have it down here, because my computer, again, it's a pretty small screen, so it doesn't show that little tab here with Hypershade. We're going to create a, remember, we go to mentor nodes in the top if you're in 2008 version. Here you have it immediately. You can press the MIA, Material IX. And what we need to do here is select the pieces, and that's why managing all this is very convenient, because I only select these ones, and I know I'm selecting the whole number of objects to this material. So right click on the material and say assign. It changes the color, so it's good. And if we press here, Control A to go to the attribute editors, we know we can set a preset to Chrome, for example, replace, and changes everything. I'm going to put a little bit lighter, and I'm going to just change this a little bit smaller, not much, and samples like 20. Okay, I'm done with the material. So if I close that, a couple things that we want to do as well is, for example, if we select the dome here, we want to actually assign an image to that dome. So we can, let me see where it is. Here it is, it's close. Here in the mental array, shape 1, we have the image space lighting attributes. It's waiting, expecting for an image. So we want to apply an image to that dome. If not, the dome's not going to do anything. So what image is the reason why I'm going to Photoshop and create a new image, 700 in white, as a background. And what I did is just a couple of tricks. For example, do the brush, and one of the brushes right clicking here is the grass one. So I can create a couple sets of line here or whatever, and I can afterwards go to filter, blur box blur, and it has this fill, and I'm gonna Control I as in inverse the black and white thing, and I'm gonna save it in the desktop, name 1. Okay, if I go to Maya, now I can actually select, after selecting the dome, I can go to this little folder and press 1, which is this image, and immediately you see the dome takes that image and kind of places it in the dome. It's very nice. We'll see afterwards that you may not want to actually render the background, but you only want the reflections of that background. We'll see that you just change it here in render stats and uncheck this guy. Another thing we want to know is how to place a camera, or it's not a camera, it's more of a save in a view that we like. So for that, first of all, we need to know that if we press perspective and we are in the perspective window out of the 4 of them, it's not a view, it's actually a camera related to a view. So if we press here on perspective, we're going to have many options to change from that view, which is actually a camera. And you go perspective shape with the image of the little camera, and you're going to change many things. One of them being the background color. But another thing, if you press Ctrl A, it's very convenient to know, is that if you press on perspective, you can change, you see the lens as in Maya and many other programs. It's very, very convenient. So if we set this guy here, which is also in view and camera tools, camera settings, well, you should know by now, we're using 2008, I think it's camera tools, and you see the background. We're going to be able to change all these things and be able to fit it. I'm zooming in a little bit less. There we go. Rotate and place it there. And probably a little bit from the bottom so we see the details here. Good, I like it. So what we can do now is view, bookmarks, edit bookmarks. Simple. We create a new bookmark, say 7.1 or whatever. We say apply and close. So now if we're doing everything, even if we press this guy, we say F as in zooming in, or whatever, we're doing things. We can always go to view, bookmarks, and save here as 7.1. So it will go immediately to that view, which is very, very convenient with all the lenses and everything, the focals and everything changed. So let's render and I'll pause it and see what we have at this point. Okay, so I think it looks pretty cool actually. Two things we're going to do, and also a comment. We'll probably, if we were going professional, we'll probably give some of the side areas different material with a different reflection. Because here, for example, it says very nice, this idea of having the glossy change that we did in the material, but probably here will be better to have a smaller glossiness. But anyway, that's another thing. Let's do the two things that we want to get rid of that background, which could be nice for some other type of rendering, but here we want the black homogeneous. We'll see that it's by pressing perspective. And the other thing is creating a little light so you know what's going on with the light. First of all, let's do the background. If you press perspective here, which is the camera of the perspective that we're rendering, Control A, and remember to go to perspective shape with this guy. The environment here, it's black, so it's good. We want that to be black when we get rid of this background. So the other way to control that is like we go to mentor array here for the dome, and we're gonna check. Let's make all these smaller so you see we have image where we place the image, and the second one is render stats. We have to uncheck this guy, primary visibility. Okay, so now if we render, it's not going to show this. It's going to give reflections though. It's going to be showing black as a background because we set in the perspective. Another thing we want to do is basically create this guy. If we go to rendering, and this guy is directional light, and immediately it creates, if I move it out, this object. I can scale it so you guys can see it correctly. There we go. It doesn't matter. This object is a light, simple as a light. It's not similar to the sun that we create, but in this case, it doesn't give us sky and all those blues and all that stuff. So it only relates. It's only important to know the rotation of this guy to give the direction of the. I'm going to put it from the bottom actually, from this side. It doesn't matter whether we scale it in different ways. It's not going to increase the intensity because that's going to be mentioned over here. And it doesn't matter if we move it whatever place. It only matters the angle of the vision. So we want to make sure that the angle is the one we want, of course. What we're going to do now is in the directional light shape here in this guy, which is after directional light attributes, we need to use depth map shadow. If you don't press this guy, it won't create shadows at all. And we need to create shadows to make it more cool. No, we're going to increase the resolution. Let me make this bigger. to 4 or 5,000, and we're gonna change this to 15. This talks about how the shade attributes are, and this to 40, and that should be fine. We're gonna go again to view, bookmarks, and save one. And remember, it saves the view, so it's quite nice. Now I'm gonna render, pause it, and you see the final result at the end. Okay, so it's quite nice. I really like it. Things that I would have done if I had more time is like once again, some sites should have different reflection qualities than others, etc., etc. Probably more intensity of the light coming from directional light, and probably the image in the background should have more white than black. And of course, if these guys are not exactly the same, but this one is has a different angle, and this one is a little bit lower, is reflecting different things, will give obvious quality and intensity to the whole image. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial. That's it, done.